Hello everyone, welcome to our video for today. Today we're going to be looking at chapter 3-2, parallel lines cut by a transversal. The objective for today is students will be able to find the measurement of angles created by two parallel lines cut by a transversal. So if you review from last week, we started looking at different angle pairs formed when we had two lines cut by a transversal. If you remember the word transversal, that means this one right here is the word transversal because it's the one that crosses the other two lines. And because of that, we had a total of 8 different angles, right? And with all of these different 8 angle pairs, we had different angle pairs. With the first one that we started looking at was the corresponding angles. And corresponding angles are angles that are on the same side of the transversal and on the same position. So if you recall here, for example, angle 1 corresponds with angle 5 because they're on the same side of the transversal and they are on the same position. Same thing with, let me choose a different color here. Same thing with angle 3 corresponds with angle 7, as well as angle 2 corresponds with angle 6. And lastly, we have that angles 4 corresponds with angle 8. So those are the different corresponding angles that we had that are on the same side of the transversal and on the same position. After that, we looked at the different angle pairs that are called alternate interior angles. And we said alternate interior angles are angles that are on the inside. And by what I mean by inside, they are angles that are in between the two lines. So this right here is the interior. This means the inside. And they are on opposite sides of the transversal. So what that means is that we have angle 3 is alternate interior to angle 6 because they are on the inside and they are on opposite sides of the transversal, as well as angle 4 is alternate interior to angle 5. So those are my two angle pairs for alternate interior angles. As well as we looked at alternate exterior angles, where exterior means outside of the two lines. For example, the exterior is this area right here, angle 1 and angle 2, angle 7 and angle 8. So my alternate exterior angles would be, let me pick a different color here, would be angle 1 is alternate exterior to angle 8. As well as we have a different angle pair here, we have angle 2 is alternate exterior to angle 7 because they are outside and they are in opposite sides of the transversal. And lastly, let me erase all of this here. And lastly, we also looked at consecutive interior angles. So again, the moment you see the word interior, that means that we're looking inside the two lines, in between the two lines. So let me go ahead and highlight that for you so you can see what I mean. This is the interior. But now consecutive means that they're on the same side of the transversal. So consecutive interior angles are going to be angle 3 and angle 5 because they're on the same side of the transversal, as well as, let me pick a different color here, as well as angle 4 is consecutive interior to angle 6 because they're in the inside and they are on the same side of the transversal. So those were the 4 different angle pairs that we were looking at last week when we have two lines cut by a transversal here. But what if the lines are parallel? As you can see over here, every time we were drawing our lines, they weren't parallel, right? But what if the lines are parallel? We actually have something special going on when the two lines are parallel. And that is, if two parallel lines are cut by a transversal, then there's more that we can find out about these different angle pairs. It says each pair of corresponding angles are congruent. So that means that corresponding angles, as we reviewed before, congruent means that they are equal. So corresponding angles are actually equal to each other. All right, so for example, here, angle 1 and angle 5 are actually equal to each other. Angle 4 and angle 8, angle 2 and angle 6, and angle 3 and angle 7 are actually equal to each other, as well as corresponding angles are equal. Alternate interior angles are also equal. They're also congruent. Also, the alternate exterior angles are also congruent. But the only different one here says each pair of consecutive interior angles are supplementary. If you recall from the previous chapters here, we had said the supplementary angles are angles that add up to 180 degrees. So that means angle 4 and angle 5, they're not equal to each other. And you can obviously see that because this one's an obtuse angle, this one's an acute angle. But if the lines are parallel, they add up to 180 degrees, as well as angle 3 and angle 6. So all the different angle pairs, alternate interior, alternate exterior, and corresponding, are all equal except the consecutive interior angles. Those pairs of angles are actually supplementary. And if you recall from unit 1, vertical angles, if you recall vertical angles, they're always congruent. So vertical angles, for example, angle 2 and angle 4 are vertical angles. They are also equal to each other, as well as angle 4, angle 5, and angle 7 are also equal to each other because they're vertical. And lastly, a linear pair is also supplementary. So angle 1 and angle 2, since they form a straight line, they're a linear pair, they are supplementary as well, if you recall from the previous chapter. And so knowing all of this, we can actually find out that, so if we know one angle measure, then we can find them all. So let's go and look at this example here. It's telling me, given the measurement of angle 1 is 65 degrees. So measurement of angle 1 here is actually 65 degrees. Find the measurement of each missing angle and give your reasoning. So now they wanted me to find the measurements of all of these different angles, only knowing that the measurement of angle 1 is 65 degrees. All right, so there's many different ways that we can approach this, but I'm going to go ahead and start off with one method that I know we can do for sure. For example, if we start here with angle 1 that is 65 degrees, what do we know about angle 3? Angle 1 and angle 3 are what type of angle pair? They're vertical, so that means that since they are vertical angles, that means that measurement of angle 3 is also 65 degrees. Again, because they are vertical angles. I'm going to put here measurement of angle 3 is 65 degrees because they are vertical angles. All right. I mean, and there's many different ways we can approach this. Like, for example, we know that the measurement of angle 1, let me go ahead and use a highlighter. We know that the measurement of angle 1 is corresponding to angle 5, right? So that means angle 5, we said the corresponding angles are also congruent. That means the measurement of angle 5 is also 65 degrees. So measurement of angle 5 is 65 degrees. Why? Because it's corresponding to angle 1. Or we can also say, look, as you can see here, angle 3, oops, not this one. Let me go ahead and fix that real quick. We had already seen that angle 3 and angle 5, well, they're alternate interior angles. And if we had seen before, alternate interior angles are also congruent. So as you can see, that's why it's also 65 degrees. And for lastly, we can say angle 3 and angle 7 are also corresponding angles. So angle 7 should also be 65. Oops, let me change that again. Should also be 65 degrees. So angle 7 is also 65 degrees because it is corresponding. Or also, as you can see, I mean, there's many ways we can approach this. Angle 5 and angle 7 are also what? Vertical. So that's why they should be equal to each other. So at least I have found so far angles 3, 5, and 7, but now how can I find the other ones? What do I know about angle 1 and angle 2? Since they form a straight line, what should they add up to? 180 degrees. So that means that if a measurement of angle 1 is 65 degrees, that means the measurement of angle 2 should be 180 minus 65, which is 115 degrees. And how do I know? Because 115 degrees plus 65, they should add up to 180. So that means the measurement of angle 2 is 115 degrees because they are a linear pair as well. All right, so knowing that measurement of angle 2 is 115, well, that means the measurement of angle 4 should also be 115 degrees because they are vertical angles. The measurement of angle 4 is also 115 degrees because they are vertical angles. What else? What else? We know the measurement of angle 4. Let me go ahead and pick the highlighter here. Let me use a different color. We know the measurement of angle 4 is corresponding to measurement of angle 8, right? Because they are corresponding, or we can also see the measurement of angle 2 and angle 8 are alternate exterior angles. And we already know that alternate exterior angles, if you go back, they are also congruent. So that means that the measurement of angle 8 should also be 115 degrees because, let me go ahead and erase this random line that came out, because they are alternate exterior. And again, there's many different why. Because they could also be because they're corresponding to angle 4, because it's alternate exterior to angle 2. There's many different ways you can see this. But I just want you to see the pattern here. And I know the measurement of angle 6 should be also 115 degrees because it's alternate interior to angle 4. So let me go ahead and fill that in. So that means the measurement of angle 6 is also 115 degrees because it is alternate interior to angle 4. So as you can see here, just by simply knowing one measurement of one of my angles, they only told me measurement of angle 1 was 65. I was actually able to find all of the measurement of all the other angles. And that is only because my two lines are parallel to each other. Okay, so now we can go ahead and go on to examples that were asking me to solve for x. So they're giving me here this figure, right? And these two lines are parallel and they're cut by a transversal, and they're telling me to name the angle pair and to solve for x. And so automatically I can see here, they're telling me that this angle is 58, and they're telling me that this angle here, 58 degrees, and that this angle here is 5x minus 2 degrees. Now, this is in parentheses, guys, because this is actually a number. First, we don't know what x is, but this is actually a number. Depending on what x is, whatever that number is, degrees. That is why it's in parentheses, so that it can be put together. So they're telling me that this angle here is 58 degrees, and that this angle here is 5x minus 2 degrees. And so what type of angle pair are these two here? Since they are on the same side of the transversal and on the same position, we can see that these angles are corresponding angles. Corresponding angles. And what do we know about corresponding angles if the two lines are parallel? If we go back, we said that corresponding angles are congruent. That means that they are equal to each other. So that means that these angles are congruent. Again, we said the word congruent means that they are equal. So whatever the measurement of this angle is, 58 should equal to the measurement of this angle here, which is 5x minus 2. So that means that 5x minus 2, whatever that is, whatever that, how many degrees that is, that should equal to 58 degrees. And that's how I'm able to set up my equation. And I know that they are equal to each other because they're corresponding angles. Now I can solve for x. So first thing first, letters, numbers to numbers. We're going to move the -2 to the opposite side. So opposite sign, plus 2 plus 2. That goes away. So now I'm left with 5x equals to 58 plus 2. That gives me 60. So now that I have all my letters together and all my numbers, I want to leave an x by itself. So to get rid of the 5, I need to divide by the same. Divide by 5. That goes away, so x equals to 60 divided by 5, that gives me 12. And there's my answer. They were asking me to solve for x equals to 12. And again, I can always double check my answer because if I know that x is 12, then what should the measurement of this angle be? It should give me 58, right? Well, let's check. I'm gonna put 5, and instead of the x, I know it's 12. So 5 times 12 minus 2. 5 times 12, that's 60 minus 2, and I know that's going to give me 58 degrees. So as you can see here, my answer is correct because if this one was 58 degrees, this one should have also been 58 degrees. And that's how I know my answer is correct. And again, here I had to know that since they were corresponding angles, I know that corresponding angles are congruent. They are equal because my two lines are parallel. Let's go on to the next example. This next example here, they want me to name the angle pair and solve for x. So as you can see here, they're giving me this angle and this angle. So first of all, looking at those two angles here, I know that they are in the exterior because they're on the outside and they are on opposite sides of the transversal, right? So that means that these are alternate exterior angles. So what do we know about alternate exterior angles if my two lines are parallel? They are also congruent. That means that they are also equal to each other. So whatever the measurement of this angle is should be equal to the measurement of this angle here. So that means that 16x plus 22 should equal to 134. And there you go. Now that I have my equation, I can solve for x now. So I have, first thing first, I'm going to be moving my numbers. For numbers, we're going to move the 22 to the opposite side. So opposite sign minus 22 minus 22. That goes away, and I have 16x equals to 134 minus 22. That gives me 112. I already have all my numbers together and my letters together, now my numbers. Now I'm going to leave x by itself, so divide by the same. Divide by 16. So that means that x equals to 112 divided by 16. That gives me 7. So I already got that my x actually equals to 7. And again, I can always double check my answers because if this angle here is 134, this should also equal to 134 if I substitute in my x. And so let's go ahead and see what we get. Let me put here, so instead of the x, I'm going to put 16 times 7 plus 22. And well, 16 times 7, that actually gives me 112 plus 22. That should give me 134 degrees. And as you can see, my answer is correct because if this one is 34, this one should have also been 134. So that means that I know that x should equal to 7. Let's look at this next example here. They're giving me the measurement of this angle here, that this angle is 7x minus 1 degrees, and this angle here that is 125 degrees. What type of angle pair are these? If they are on the inside and they are on opposite sides of the transversal, they are alternate interior angles. Interior angles. And what do we know about alternate interior angles? That they are also congruent. That they are equal to each other. So the measurement of this angle here, 125, this one should also equal to 125. So that means that 7x minus 1 should equal to 125. That's how I can set up my equation. Now I can solve for x. First thing first, numbers. With numbers, we're going to move the negative 1 to the opposite side. So opposite sign, plus 1 plus 1. That goes away, and I'm left with 7x equals to 125 plus 1. That's 126. And lastly, to leave x by itself, divide by 7. So that means that x equals to 126 divided by 7. That means that x equals to 18. Since the question was asking me to solve for x, I know that my answer is x equals to 18. And I can always double check my answer, because if this angle here was 125, this one should also be 125. So let's go ahead and substitute in the x to double check our answer. So 7 times, I know that x is 18 minus 1. 7 times 18, that gives me 126 minus 1, that equals to 125. So this right here is 125 degrees, exactly that they should be the same. So that at least for sure, my answer is correct. Right, next one here, they give me the measurement of this angle is 9x minus 2 degrees, and that this angle here is 133 degrees. What type of angle pair are these two here? They're in the inside, for sure they're interior, but they are on the same side or opposite sides of the transversal. They're on the same side. So that means that these are consecutive interior angles. Now, looking at these angles alone here, you can obviously tell they're not equal to each other, right? Because this one's an acute angle, this one's an obtuse angle. So obviously these are not equal to each other. So the consecutive interior angles were the only ones that were not congruent. These are actually supplementary. And again, this is only the case when the two lines are parallel. So since my two lines are parallel, that means that my consecutive interior angles are actually supplementary. And if you remember, supplementary means that they add up to 180 degrees. That when you add them, they should equal to 180 degrees. That's what supplementary means. So that means that if I add these two angles, whatever they are, they should equal to 180 degrees. So that means that 9x plus 2 plus my other angle, 133, they should equal to 180 degrees. And I know that for sure because I know that if my lines are parallel, consecutive interior angles are supplementary. So whatever the measurement of this angle is, plus the measurement of this angle should equal to 180 degrees. And so now that I have my equation, now I can solve for x. So first thing first here, numbers with numbers, I have positive 2 plus 133. That means I have 9x plus 135. And that should equal to 180. Next is numbers with numbers. I have we're gonna move the 135 to the opposite side. So opposite sign, minus 135 minus 135. That goes away, and so I'm left with 9x equals to 180 minus 135. That gives me 45. And lastly, to leave x by itself, I divide by the same, divide by 9. So I get that x equals to 45 divided by 9. That gives me 5. So that means that x equals to 5. And so again, I can always double check my answer. If I substitute it back in here, let's see what I get. If I know that now that x is 5, let's see what I get here. 9 times 5 plus 2. That's 45 plus 7. I'm sorry, plus 2. That's 47 degrees. So this one is 133 degrees. Now I know that this one is 47 degrees. And I know that since they are consecutive interior angles, they are supplementary. That means that they should add up to 180 degrees. Well, let's check. If I add 47 degrees plus 133 degrees, that actually does give me 180 degrees. And so that's how I know my answer is correct. Right now, this is last example here. They want me to not, in this question here, they're not asking me to solve for x. Oops. They're not asking me to solve for x. They're actually asking me to actually find the measurement of a specific angle here. They're asking me to find the measurement of angle EDG. So they're actually asking me to find the measurement of this angle. I know that it is x minus 30, but in order for me to find the measurement of that angle, I need to solve for x first. Well, what type of angle pairs are these? To give me that this angle here is 2x minus 35 degrees, and that this angle here is x minus 30. First thing I need to do is identify what type of angle pair are these here. If they're on the same side of the transversal and on the same position, they are corresponding angles. So first thing I got to check, what type of angle pair are they? They're corresponding angles. And I know that since my lines are parallel, corresponding angles are congruent. So since they are congruent, they are equal to each other. So that means that whatever this measurement of this angle is, 2x minus 135, that should equal to the measurement of the other angle here, x minus 30. And so because of that, now I have my equation. Now I can solve for x. First thing first, let's go ahead and combine my letters. For letters, I have 2x and I have 1x. Best thing to move this 1x to the opposite side. So opposite sign, minus x minus x. That goes away. So 2x minus x equals to x minus 135. That equals to negative 30. So I already combined my letters. Now I combine my numbers. For numbers, we're going to move the negative 135 to the opposite side. So opposite side, plus 135 plus 135. That goes away. And so now I'm left with x equals to, well, negative 30 plus 135, that gives me 105. So I got that x equals to 105. But again, the question is not asking me to solve for x. They're asking me to find the measurement of angle EDG. So they want me to find the measurement of this angle here. Now they told me that the measurement of that angle there is x minus 30. But we know that x is 105. So that means that the measurement of angle EDG is going to equal to, instead of x, I'm going to put 105 minus 30. And that means that the measurement of angle EDG is going to equal to 105 minus 30. That gives me 75. So this is going to be 75 degrees. And there you go. And even without checking, I should get, if I substitute in the x here, I should also be getting 75, because since they are corresponding angles, they are actually equal to each other. But again, they're not asking me for that one, but just to double check, I can also go back and substitute it in there. It should also give me 75 degrees. And there you go. Thank you so much for watching my video. Work on your assignment on Google Classroom and let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.